All right, so Alfred, can you tell me what I need to do next? Just go ahead and start the interpretation.
Correct. Yeah, you'll hit start and then everyone will choose their interpretation rooms.
All right, so let's go ahead and get the interpretation rooms open.
So what you'll do is you'll hit the interpretation button at the bottom where the globe is. Everyone can see my screen, thumbs up. Okay. And then after you hit the globe, what you'll do next is you'll choose your language or the room. And then if you want the audio muted from the original, you'll hit that button and it'll allow that to mute the original audio. And here's our agenda. We'll have Charlie share that out.
Tonight, we're going to be talking about parental rights, what rights you have when it comes to school communication and advocating for your child. Specifically, the rights that relate to our ESOL parents. We have our school counselors who are going to share some information about what to do if you are concerned that your child may need help. We're going to talk about testing in Albemarle County. We're going to show you how to find your child's teacher's email address. And we're going to talk about tips for a successful parent conference, because we do have parent conferences coming up soon.
Okay. So I'm Amba again in the ESOL office, and I just wanted to go ahead and share some data with you. We're a very diverse school district, thankfully, and we have students and families from 96 countries with 73 different languages. And in the ESOL and international program, we support families and students from 65 countries and 49 languages. All right, and just to show you this list here, those are our top languages. Spanish. Within Albemarle County Public Schools, we have 1,528 Spanish speakers, and then almost 1,100 of those are in our ESOL and international program. And then as you can move down, Chinese is our next top language, Arabic, Pashto, Dari, Korean, Nepali, Russian, Urdu, Swahili, and Turkish. Next slide, please, Alfred. Thank you. All right, so what does that diversity mean? It means that state educational agencies and school districts share an obligation to ensure that their EL programs and activities comply with the civil rights laws. So when you start to consider ways to advocate for yourself and your student, a really first step in that is making sure you have clear communication. So in Albemarle County, we have 3 different formats and ways to have an interpreter. We have our vetted Albemarle County Public School interpreters and translators. They are required to go through training and hold credentials for these roles. We also use a phone interpretation system called Interpretalk. Interpretalk offers hundreds of languages and interpreters are always available over the phone.
One thing to add about Interpretalk, it can also be used with virtual conferences over Zoom. So if you need to use Zoom or a virtual method to communicate with your child's teacher for a conference, you do still have access to Interpretalk. Just let your child's teacher know.
Yes. So we always have an option for interpretation, even if it's not in person. And then if there's a language that we don't have in our own ACPS interpretation and translation team program, we contract with interpreters from the International Rescue Committee. So just to highlight a couple important facts, schools must respond to a parent's request for language assistance. And remember that parents can be limited English proficient even if their child is proficient. So even if your student speaks and understands English, if you need interpretation, please request that. Schools must provide translation or interpretation from appropriate and competent individuals and may not rely on or ask students, siblings, friends, or untrained school staff to translate or interpret for parents. I will put this link in the chat. However, Alfred, would you just mind clicking on the link to open this document? So this is a collaboration from the U.S. Department of Justice and the U.S. Department of Education. And it is a summary fact sheet for parents and guardians and their rights for language assistance, translation, and interpretation in public school districts. This document is available in Spanish. And if you need any assistance going over this document in another language, please reach out to ESOL. We can help with that. There's also helpful links on this sheet, linking to websites, so you can read more about laws and your rights as a guardian or parent. All right, thank you, Alfred. And then third slide. So there are some great websites within our main Albemarle County Public School website, which has resources and information on how to help your child succeed in school, and also for you as the parent, if you're interested. So due to the time constraint on the meeting, I'm not going to go through everything, but I did want to just open the web page and highlight a couple of the the websites and links here that we've mentioned. All right, so if you were to go to For Families,
And Alfred, can you show in the upper left corner how families can change the language of our website?
so the website is available in different languages. And so if you go to For Families, and then Parent and Family Involvement, there's information here and suggestions on way to be involved and advocate for your child's education. And then Alfred, if you would please go back to the main Albemarle County website. And under our departments, and International and ESOL, there are additional resources and links. If you were to open the Interpretation and Translation tab on the other side, I'm sorry. Yes. And then Alfred, if you would scroll down to the bottom. There is a button that has Parents' Rights to Interpretation and Translation. That is also a link to that fact sheet that we shared. Under the ESOL and International website, there's also a section on ESOL family support. There are additional resources. So I encourage you to take some time and read through our websites. There's a lot of information. And then lastly, before I pass it on, if you were to go one more back to the main ESOL page. And under staff directory. If you need to reach out to anybody in our ESOL office, our information is here. We also have all of our ESOL teachers and their schools listed on this website. So please reach out to our department if you have any questions, concerns, or would just like to give feedback. We are also able to help bridge the gap with communications between students, families, and their schools. We also have a lot of knowledge about community resources and often help find support within the community to help advocate for you and your students' success. Thank you.
So good evening. Again, I'm Amy Wright. I'm the school counseling director, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about why we have school counselors in schools and how we can help support you and your students. So we work under 3 large domains, and firstly, the domain of academics. Some of the things that we do in this area are at the end of grading periods, we look at students who are not being successful, and we'll pull them in and talk with them and see if there are barriers to their academic success. And sometimes we can work on that together to address the barrier, or sometimes it might mean that we need some extra help and we might bring it to a larger committee. So we have something called the ESPIT process, which stands for School-Based Intervention Team. I couldn't remember what the T stand for. And so if we take a student to ESPIT, that means we're getting administrators and teachers and students that are people who are involved in the student's life on board to help to strategize and find some solutions that may work for the student. Also under the area of academics, we make sure that students are meeting graduation requirements, and we're your partner in that. We don't expect students and families to do that all on their own. We do that when we meet with them every year for course selection, which is what we are in the process of doing right now. And if you wanted to meet with your students counselor about courses for next year and you haven't received an email or you don't know how to do that, your counselor will be happy if you reach out to them and let them know that you would like to meet. Okay. So the county has purchased a platform called School Links. And within School Links, each student has an account in 6th through 12th grade where they can take assessments and basically do research on both careers and colleges. And we also will push into classrooms at all levels, K-12, to guide some lessons for students so they start thinking about careers in the future. And our third domain is helping students with their mental health. Because if they are not mentally healthy, they're probably going to have a difficult time learning. And so school counselors, as well as some schools, have the additional mental health counselor whose sole purpose is to work with students on their mental health. And we also, the high schools have
Region 10
do preventative
بيعملوا
work in the area of mental health. And we can go ahead to the next slide. And so some of the things as families that you might want to be looking out for with your student include refusing to talk about school. You know, if they don't want to talk to you about school, what is it that they're either afraid of, or they don't want you to know, or that they're not enjoying? If you see changes in them, such as a change in their attitude about school, that might be a reason to talk with your school counselor and say, hey, are you at school seeing any of these things as well? If your student starts having physical symptoms, and the biggest one that I notice is stomach aches. I've got a stomach ache, I can't go to school. I've got a headache, I can't go to school. And it's continuous. That might be something to look into with your school counselor. If their sleeping or eating habits change, that could be a sign that there's something else going on in their mental health, and we might want to take a look at that. And sometimes when students are taking longer than normal time with their homework, sometimes they're really avoiding it. Sometimes they just don't know how to do it. But again, another thing just to look out for. And if you're getting calls from school about misbehavior from your child, especially if that's not the norm for what you've seen in the past, those are things that we can help you with. And another sign is either change in grades, or they went from doing very well and then their grades start to plummet. That may be an indication that there are some other things going on that we want to take a look at. And so I would just advise that there are, anytime you want to come in and see your school counselor, we're welcome to have you. It's helpful to have an appointment, but it is not necessary.
Okay, I'm gonna take that as a hint that I'm taking over now. I hope you can hear me. I was having trouble getting unmuted. My name is Melissa Larson, and I am the school testing coordinator at Western Albemarle High School. In Albemarle County, every school has a school testing coordinator. Usually it is a teacher or an administrator, and our job is to help students and families with standardized testing required by Virginia. We call them standards of learning testing, or SOLs. SOLs are required tests. We give them each year in Virginia. They start in 3rd grade and they'll continue through high school. Each year, we'll test different subjects depending on the school year or the classes that your student takes. Not every class will have a test, which is good. The subjects that we test are reading, writing, math, science, and history. The most important tests are the ones that your student will take in high school. Because in high school, students must pass certain tests in order to be able to graduate in the state of Virginia. Alfred, if you want to go to the next slide. In Virginia, we offer accommodations to help support your students that are specifically available for ESOL students. Your student has a case manager, and hopefully you know who that is. It's usually a teacher at your school. I do know that I saw when we were looking at the Albemarle County website, you can see the names of the ESOL teachers at each school, which is fabulous. So that is a wonderful resource. So the process each year is that your case manager will design a testing plan for your student individually. And this will help your student access the test in English. All SOL tests are given in English. We offer accommodations to every student. Typically, we have 3 accommodations that we see. The first one is for the student to have a bilingual dictionary or in addition, an English dictionary. The second accommodation we often see is for students to have an audio test. This is a recorded version of the test that is read to each student. It's a recording of it that they can hear as they're taking their test. The third accommodation that we typically see is that students can have written directions that accompany the oral directions. So as the teacher in the classroom is giving the test and giving them oral directions, they can also have a written copy that they can read off of. Every student in Virginia, all students, can have untimed tests. These are different from other tests that your student may take, which do have time limits. SOLs are untimed. There's no time limit. They just need to finish it in the school day. All students can have breaks whenever they need. And I think that's particularly important for a student who is needing to mentally translate the test for themselves. They can take a break anytime. All students are allowed to read the test out loud to themselves. If a student needs that, the teacher will arrange for that student to be tested alone so that they have the ability to read out loud and be comfortable. And I did make down here the Virginia Department of Education. That's actually an active link to the VDOE website. This is the website for the entire state of Virginia. It has a lot of information about our public schools, and particularly the teaching, learning, and assessment piece that's right up there at the top. They do have the ability to have it translated. The website works with Google Translate, and it seems to work pretty effectively. Not quite as easy as the Albemarle County one, though. I'm pretty impressed by that one. And if you have any questions, you should reach out to your school testing coordinator. We are always happy to work with students and help support your student so that they can do the best on these tests.
Thank you, Melissa, for sharing that, and also Amy for sharing your information as well. I've learned a lot. Just to repeat some things, how to find the case manager. First, you're going to go to the ESOL website, and this is the link right here. Next, you're going to click on Staff Directory, which is down here. And then you're going to find your school. And this will allow you to see the case manager for your child. Where to find the case manager's email is the next thing. Again, you're going to go to your school website. And there's going to be a tab that says About. And you're going to find that About tab. And then it'll either say Directory or Staff Directory. And once you click on it, you'll see a list of teachers. For example, if I was at Henley and I went, we'll just start at the main page for families. I'm going to come over here to where it says About. And I'm going to choose Directory over here. Let me stay here. Gotta navigate to Directory. And so these are the teachers' emails. And if you click on that, it'll actually, some will pop it up and it'll start the email. If not, you can right click on it and choose copy email address. And so that's how you would contact some of the key people in your child's education. And next, Charlie's going to talk about tips for parent conferences. I know high school just had them, but again, you can contact your teacher and set up a one-on-one conference with them. And I think the lower grade levels are getting ready to have some soon. So Charlie's going to talk about some parenting tips for conferences. Let me go back.
Alfred, if you could click on that link, please. Instead of taking information from the website and putting it on slides, I just linked the site because it has lots of really valuable information for families. On here, the site gives you questions to ask your child before a conference comes up so that you might know about any concerns that weren't that you weren't aware of before. So things like, how are you enjoying school? What's your favorite subject? Do you have friends at school? Do you have, are your hobbies being supported when you're at school? There's things like that, it just gives questions that you as the parent can ask. If you're using Google Chrome, Google Chrome to translate any website. If we scroll down here, you'll see that the tip sheet is also available on here in English and Spanish. So if we keep scrolling down, It talks about what a conference is, that it's a meeting between you and your child's teacher, that your child's teacher might reach out to you to schedule a time to meet. A lot of times, conference happens right before or around report cards. So you know that when report card time is coming up, that you're probably going to hear from your child's teacher. These are questions about, what if I work during the day? Let your teacher know that you need a conference in the evening. We also in Albemarle County do a lot of virtual conferences with Zoom. And again, like we said earlier, InterpreTalk is available for Zoom conferences. It gives you ideas about, or lets you know like what you might talk about, what you'll learn. If you scroll down just a little bit more, your teacher, and it tells you what the teacher might ask you. But go down to that before the conference part for me, Alfred. So these are the things I was talking about, where it's things that you can talk to your child about before the conference happens, how they feel about school. Is there anything that they want you to talk to their teacher about? Let's see, tell your child that you and the teacher are meeting to help them, so that they know why you're meeting with the teacher. Because if they don't understand that this is just a regular conference, that could feel stressful if they're worried about why the teacher may want to talk to you. It gives questions like, what are my child's strongest and weakest subjects? Does my child hand homework in on time? Does my child participate in class? It also gives tips for during the conference, such as be on time or early for the meeting, ending the meeting on time, relax and be yourself and stay calm. Ask the important questions first so that you don't forget to ask them. It also gives information about what you can do after the conference is over. So touching base or talking with your child about what you discussed with their teacher, and talking to your child about any plans that you and the teacher may have created when working together. So again, lots of resources on here. There is a tip sheet that you can look at in English and Spanish. And if you're opening this in Google Chrome, you can always translate the website.
Charlie, could you walk us through just translating the website? It's I switched to Chrome.
Oh, okay. Scroll up to the top. All right, let's see. It might be in your extensions bar. There's a Chrome extension for Translate. Search for it there. If not, you might have to add it from the store. So click on the 3 lines over at the corner.
Oh wait, wrong line. Sorry.
Click there. Go all the way down. Oh, click on those 3 lines again.
Find this.
And click on Open Chrome Web Store at the bottom. And now you can type, oh, there we go. Type translate. There's the extension we want. Right there. Click it, add to Chrome. Add extension. And if you click on that puzzle piece, it'll show all of your extensions and you can pin it so that it stays in place. So click on that puzzle piece, Alfred. And see how there's a push pin. If you click on that, it turns it blue. And now we see it. So now if we go back to a website that we're looking at.
Oh, where did they go? Here we go.
And click on that. And now what language would you like? So type in, or you can click translate, you type in your language.
Oh wait, yeah, let's do this.
Click translate this page.
Oops.
Oh, sorry, go up here. And it'll right now click with that drop down. I'm pointing at the screen. Click where it says translated to English and click there and choose whatever language you would like.
Let's do Spanish. Okay.
And now the whole website will be translated. And just so you know, this works on any website if you're using Google Chrome.
Thank you, Charlie. That's great. And this will be a great resource for people to pull out down the road as well. All right, we're going to turn it back over to Amba as we are at our last slide and we are at time as well. But we'll turn it over to Amba to give final remarks and thank yous and closings.
Yes, thank you everybody for being with us this evening. I apologize for the multiple technology flaws. And if you need any support or you maybe don't even know where to start with getting involved or working on advocating for yourself and your children, please reach out. You can reach out to counselors, to the ESOL office. We don't want language to be a barrier for you in the school district. So interpretation and translation is part of your rights as parents and guardians. And so we want to support that, and we want to support you and your students. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, interpreters, and apologies for all the concerns. Does anybody have any questions? All right, well then that's it for this meeting. And Alfred, you could probably go ahead and end the recording.